should we move on to sharing some stories about how folks have done this in some different markets?
Yeah, what do we got? Oh, we got Joe and Derek.
We got Joe and Derek coming up. That's a good one.
Yeah, this is a really amazing story. This is one of those stories where it's like, I don't like to claim that I got people results. I did not. They got their results. But the fact that my work helped them get these results just warms my heart.
I'd like to welcome Joe and Derek Clark. And Joe and Derek, welcome. I'm glad you're here. You've got a remarkable story. Can you just tell folks a little bit about your business?
Hi, Jeff.
Hi there, Jeff.
Yeah, we had a riding school where we had horses and we were teaching people how to ride. We did that for many years, and that was all going along really quite nicely until one day 5 years ago, we were coming back from helping someone with their horse, and we were hit by a drunk driver. We had a very, very nasty car accident, and poor Derek was seriously injured and was in hospital for weeks and weeks and weeks. And that really damaged our business big time, because I tried my absolute best to keep everything going and run it all myself, but it just was incredibly difficult. And Derek was unable to teach all day, every day the way we used to. So that was very difficult for me, but sort of struggled along. Couldn't really make ends meet anymore, to be honest.
So your business was an in-person, you're helping people with their horse riding.
Yeah.
And before we started recording, you were from Southwest England. And you had it sounded like a very nice business teaching people, but it was in-person, one-on-one. And then you had this tragic car accident. So sorry to hear about that. And so what was the next, what happened next?
Well, we soldiered on, and then COVID happened and the lockdowns, and overnight, that was it. We had no revenue whatsoever. So that really put us from a difficult position to a completely impossible position, because you can't, we still had the horses and we still had a huge amount of rent to pay on our yard, and you couldn't stop the expenses, but the revenues just stopped overnight. Now, fortunately, a few years before this, Derek had bought PLF. And I'm laughing because I was absolutely furious when he did it, because he didn't ask me. He just went out and spent this huge amount of money, well, what felt like a huge amount of money, to do online courses. And I just thought he'd gone crazy. I was just like, what are you talking about? We've got this riding school where we're teaching people how to ride. Everything's fine. What are you thinking of? But he persuaded me to start watching some of the videos, and we thought, yeah, actually, there's something to this. We can do this. And just 2 weeks before the crash happened, we were getting ready to do our very first launch, our seed launch of an online course. And it was literally, we were just about to announce it and get started when everything was taken out. So it was just a whole cascade of disasters. But when the lockdowns happened with COVID, it was just like, well, okay, what are we waiting for? Let's go online. We've got to get this out there, and this is the way forward.
It was, so I mean, the technical term, that was like a double whammy, where first you had that accident, where you were hit by a drunk driver, and Derek's ability to teach him was severely compromised. It sounds like severely compromised, and then just COVID came in and wiped everything out.
Yeah.
So you're, and at that point, even though you had a nice business teaching people with a great big overhead, you had no digital, you didn't have a course, no digital marketing experience. What happened then? You're forced, all of a sudden your hand was forced.
Yeah. So sort of about a week into the first lockdown, we just thought, well, let's just ask the people that we know if they'd be interested in us doing some weekly teaching while they can't have actual in-person riding lessons. So we went on Facebook and we just said, okay, is anybody interested? And a whole load of people said, well, yeah, we are interested actually. And so, so then we realised, okay, we're going to have to do it now. So we quickly put a sales page together. We thought, okay, we need to charge some money for this. Made up a price, put the sales page together, and we did a very, very rapid, crazy launch. And to our amazement, we sold out within 36 hours. We actually had to close our carts early because otherwise we'd have had too many people to cope with. So that was really surprising, wasn't it? And
It was, yeah. It was a really, really nice, positive surprise.
yeah, and we'd kind of had the normal worries of what if nobody's interested, what if nobody buys? But yeah, people were falling over themselves to buy, so that was great. And then we had to deliver the course.
I'm sorry, Eric. So just out of curiosity, you sold out. How many spots were there?
We decided we'd offer 25, didn't we?
We thought 25
Yeah.
to 30 would be about right. And we actually gave out a small number of free places to some of the people who'd helped us a lot after our crash. But we actually sold, I think, 23 people paid for it. Yeah, so we were really, really pleased with that. And
And this is a classic seed launch where you didn't have the course created yet. Is that?
no,
That's right.
we
Yeah.
had a whole load of sticky on pieces of paper, which were ideas of things that we thought we'd like to talk about. And we'd always done in-person lessons, but when people come for a riding lesson, they want to get on the horse to ride. They don't want to listen to us spending an hour explaining all the theory behind it. And this was like a great opportunity to, okay, let's explain all that stuff that we always wanted to explain but couldn't. We thought we won't even be doing any practical stuff here. We'll just talk and explain things. But actually, a couple of weeks in, the people on the course were just saying, well, can you demonstrate some of this? So it turned into this crazy rush, making demo videos, doing a weekly lecture. But we got it done. And, at the end of it, everyone said, wow, this is so amazing. Now what?
Okay, before you go any further, I just have some follow-up questions on that. First of all, what was the price of your course?
It was 247.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
£247.
Never, very nice seed launch. So had you guys ever done, and you're answering questions, what in general, sounds like people were thrilled with this course, with the experience?
But to our amazement, not only did they enjoy it, but their riding improved beyond belief. We just could not believe our eyes. They were posting. We asked people to post videos in the Facebook group, just showing us what they needed help with, and what we saw was just amazing improvements.
And were you using something like Zoom to do the trainings?
Yeah, we use Zoom to deliver a weekly webinar.
And then you started, a few weeks in, people started to ask you for demonstrations. And all of a sudden now you're becoming video producers, which I imagine that was a new thing for you. Did you have any video experience before that?
No. So I would ride my horse, Eric's holding an iPad, shouting instructions and then filming what he could see. And then we'd just go back and cut the ends off and try and make it something useful, put a bit of commentary on explaining what we were doing.
Yeah, cut out all the swearing between us.
Yeah, it's true. And then get it up there and show it to our people and just act like, yeah, we know what we're doing. And it worked.
Can you talk about I have two more questions, then we can move on. First, there are some people, when they first hear about the seed launch, they think that there's no way you can sell something before it's created, or they think maybe some reason it's unethical or just wrong to do that, to charge something for something that hasn't been created. What would you say to those folks?
I think it's all about how you have the conversation with them. I think if you're kind of honest and authentic, and we were, weren't we? We said to people exactly as you teach in PLF. Actually, we said to people, we've got this idea, we're thinking of doing this. I think we even went as far as saying, we'd like your help in creating it. So we absolutely were completely upfront with everyone in terms of what we had, which was, you know, obviously we had knowledge, but we had nothing prepared or created at that stage. And actually, there was absolutely no problem whatsoever. You know, no complaints. Nobody even raised the question of, you know, what have you got ready or anything like that. It was. I think people were very, very happy to actually be able to be involved and have some influence over, you know, how things went and what was actually going to be included.
And after that first live webinar, I was so excited. I couldn't even sit down until 3:30 in the morning. I was just bouncing off the walls with excitement. It was the best, wasn't it? It was really good fun. So yeah, what I would say is don't be afraid, just try, get out there and have a go, because you'll be amazed what you can do. Amazed.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I did a quick little bit of math there. It sounds like almost 5,700 pounds, which is even more dollars, of course. And this is just something that you're like, we're going to jump in, we're going to do this. And within a couple of weeks time frame, you put it together. So absolutely amazing. So what happened next after that seed launch?
Well, we got to the end of the 10 weeks of delivery, and our people said, well, now what? We're loving this. Can we continue?
Wow. And so have you taken that and have you, the initial training you did through the seed launch, have you turned that into a course now?
Yeah. Yeah.
And did you launch that?
Yeah. Yeah. We cut it all up into chunks, lessons, reorganized it a bit, and we relaunched it about a year later, wasn't it? It did take us a little while,
Yeah, it was, yeah.
because sadly we realized we just couldn't continue with the actual in-person riding school, because the lockdowns went on and on and on, and we were just losing money hand over fist. So it was sad, but we shut down and moved to a much easier lifestyle. And a year later, we relaunched the course with a full-scale internal launch. And that was a totally different experience. But again, it went fantastically well. We were very brave and doubled our price to £500. And we got about the same number of people, didn't we? So
we did, yeah.
Yeah. So we actually did a 5-figure launch, which we were hugely excited about at the time.
Wow. And so your businesses, you've completely shut down the in-person now, and you've gone 100% digital, it sounds like.
We have, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So we then launched again. We did another internal launch a few months after that, and we doubled our revenue again. And we did a third internal launch earlier this year. And this one was £50,000. So, you know, now we're talking the sort of money that not only can we live comfortably on, but we've got a serious business here. It's building up. So that's very, very exciting.
Wow. Congratulations. It sounds like 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, or approximately. And that, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Can you speak a little bit to, well, I guess coming out of, your accident, Derek, you had, I mean, that had some long-term effects for you in terms of being able to teach in person. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. It had sort of two effects really. I had a lot of broken bones. Nearly everything down the right-hand side of my body was broken. So it took me a while to recover from those injuries physically. But the other side of it was that I have some effects on my brain, unfortunately. I guess they call it post-concussion syndrome, and we had a very very high speed accident, hit almost directly head on. So we came to a halt pretty quickly, and there was a lot of spinning of the car as well. And one way or another, that's affected my brain. And so the challenges I have are really a lot to do with energy. So when I wake up each morning, I feel pretty good, actually, feel good to go. And it's pretty much a kind of a downhill slide from then on for the rest of the day, actually. So I can do my best work early in the day. And then there comes a point right about the middle of the day, maybe a little earlier, maybe a little later on other days. But basically my brain kind of says, okay, that's enough. That's all I can manage. So as you can imagine, trying to carry on a coaching business where I would have been working 8 hours or more each day teaching, that was just impossible after that, even once I'd recovered from the physical side. And so being able to take things online, and actually I can do my work in the times when I'm feeling good, when my brain's working. But you know, just having that possibility has been an absolute lifesaver. Actually, if we weren't able to work in the way that we are doing now, I don't know what we'd be doing.
Wow, wow, how your life can change in an instant. And congratulations for, I know recovering from something like that is like a full-time job for a long time. And so congratulations and getting back to where you're at right now. And wow, I mean, being able to go from that accident to recovery to create an online business, what does that feel like? What does that feel like?
Yeah, without PLF, what would have done? I don't know. I really don't know. It's a frightening thought. So it's just, and our life now is, you know, we really count our blessings. Not only are we still here, but we have, I mean, I have time now to really enjoy my own horse and my own riding. Whereas before we were working so hard, even though, you know, we enjoyed it, it was a real, you know, labor of love type business. We were working a ridiculous number of hours a week, weren't we?
It was probably something like 70 hours a week.
It was crazy.
Honestly.
We very rarely had a day off. Whereas now, for example, this afternoon, we've been at the seaside, walking on the beach in the sunshine, discussing how we're going to develop our course and our business in the future. And it's, you know, that's launch life. You know, we're in our late 50s. You don't expect to get a brand new start to life at this age, but it's happened.
You know, Joe and Derek, it's just a blessing to be able to play a part in that. So thank you.
That one makes me emotional. We just recorded that a week or two ago, and that I get to play a part in they're so courageous. I mean, to get that setback, and oh boy, I'm babbling now. It's just, it is emotional. Like to get to play a part and to help them out. Wow. So they went from an in-person business to a digital business. It's like, can you teach horse riding via online? Well, turns out you can. They had to close their cart in their first launch in the first 36 hours because they filled up that seed launch. They were like 23 people, 20, that's about the right number. So that was 5,681 British pounds, which is just a little more than $1 these days. I think it's, 1.1 times that, but let's just, roughly, 5,600. They did a seed launch. I love how they said they're planning. They had a bunch of stickies with things we'd like to talk about. That was awesome. Then they had people, the response was, this is amazing. Thank you for teaching this. Thank you for doing it this way. This is amazing. And then people were like, can we continue? After the seed launch was delivered, can we continue? Remember I told you, the buyers are worth 15 times more because they've come into your world, you've delivered for them, and now they want to move forward. So they went from a seed launch to an internal launch, and they didn't specify the exact dollars, but they said they did about the same number of buyers at twice the price. So let's just call that around 10,000 British pounds. Then they did another internal launch that did about 20,000 British pounds. Then they just did one that did 50,000, which is like, that is life-changing money. All of a sudden, we don't need to do this physically, and we go from working 70 hours a week to taking walks on the seaside and trying to decide what to do next in our business. And you know, if we flash back, way back to the beginning yesterday, I said that what this type of business gives you is freedom. Many types of freedom. The freedom to work when you want, where you want, work with the clients you want, work as much as you want or as little, and to work to make the impact, the freedom to be able to make an impact. So now they can help. They're helping more people. Now they're getting clients, instead of just in Southwest England, they're getting clients around the world, and they're helping people with their very specific type of training. It's a very, very specific type of horse training. It's a very gentle, beautiful way of working with the horses and developing a relationship with the horses so they'll want to do what you want to do with them. And so they're able to spread their work around the world now, which is amazing. But the thing is, you know, Derek had that accident, and he can only work certain times in a certain amount because of that accident, because of the brain injury he had. And so they have the freedom so that he can work when he wants, and they can make even greater impact. So it's just absolutely, like I said, you know, I'm blessed to be able to do this work, and I'm blessed to have people like Joe and Derek in my life. So Dan, where are we at? What we got?
You know what? Right now the comments are just real stoked about this. Not getting a ton of questions, but we're getting a whole lot of love for Joe and Derek's story.